everyone. Welcome to the Zone to Speak podcast. I'm your host, Juliana. This episode of Zone to Speak is supported by Peloton, the ultimate sunscreen for athletes. If you know me, you know I never leave the house without sunscreen, and Peloton is my go-to. It's lightweight, breathable, and designed for endurance sports, perfect for any day out on the saddle. And because they are supporting the podcast, you get 20% off your order. Just head to the link in the show notes and use the code ZONE2SPEAK at checkout. Protect your skin, fuel your adventures, and support the pod while you do it. Picture this. You are halfway up a switchback in the French Alps. The air is thinner than you would like. Your legs are debating a full strike. And then you hear a confident voice behind you say, "You have got this. One more pedal stroke." Well, that's Josh Brandwene. Josh is the coach behind Climb with Josh, a cycling experience that's part training camp, part adventure holiday, and part personal breakthrough session. He wrapped up his latest Pyrenees climbing camp, and I wanted to get the behind-the-scenes scoop on what's like to guide riders through some of the most iconic and intimidating climbs in the world. We are talking epic goals, big breakthroughs, and the mental game of climbing. And yes, those unforgettable summit moments when everything just clicks. Josh, welcome back to Zone to Speak.
It is. Thank you for having me. It is wonderful to be back. It's been an incredible summer.
Tell me everything. So you just wrapped up the training camp in the Pyrenees. What makes the Pyrenees such a special place for climbing camp, especially a camp, compared to anywhere else?
Well, obviously it goes without saying that there are beautiful places and beautiful climbs all over France, all over Europe, all over the world. To me, what makes the Pyrenees special is a couple of things. There's stunning beauty that goes along with so many of the climbs. It is what I would call slightly off the beaten path. So when you're on the climbs, you're really experiencing very little in the way of car or motorcycle traffic. It obviously has altitude to it. But for someone that tends to be affected by high altitude, we're not up at the Alps. We're not up at the Colorado Rockies in the United States. You're not going to deal with a whole lot of serious acclimation needed to experience and succeed at the big climbs in the Pyrenees. And you put all that together, and the whole region has captured my heart. It really has.
Amazing. Yeah, you're absolutely right. There are so many places to ride, but the Pyrenees is truly magical. Not everyone is really ready to show up and pedal long climbs. How do you take a mixed experience group and get them all to the point where they have got what it needs for those climbs, but also start to enjoy those climbs? I mean, of course, you sign up and know what you're signing up for, but it can be quite intimidating.
Absolutely. And, none of us are professional cyclists. We are all age group, amateur, enthusiastic cyclists. So, folks do come, many of them super prepared and ready to go. For many others, through no fault of their own, life can get in the way. Training takes a back seat to family and the professional life and things that come up. So there's a couple things that we do to make sure and ensure that it's a good experience for everyone. First and foremost, we don't start the week with a Col de Tourmalet. We don't hit biggies right out of the gate. So we start with something that is still going to be a challenge, but is going to be a little bit more manageable. And we also make sure, especially on any day, but certainly day one, that you're getting a significant warm up through the valley before you get to that first climb. And that really matters for every rider, especially so for someone who, say, came in with a little less training under their belt. Get the confidence back, get on your bike, pull at an easy pace, get your legs underneath you, and then Some of the keys to that, and again, this goes for everybody, but especially if someone sort of knows they're coming in with a little less training, be very mindful of pacing, especially early on. We don't have time cutoffs. There isn't a broom wagon. We're not here to sweep people off the road. If everyone's going to have at least a few matchsticks in the back pocket, in the jersey pocket, don't burn any of them early. Don't be afraid to take rest breaks. Make sure you hydrate. Make sure you're fueling on the climb. And those things tend to make a huge difference in terms of even somebody who's a little bit undertrained being able to get to the summit and go, okay, I'm going to be okay this week. It's going to be hard, but I can do this. Then the other thing that we do is we always allow everyone to climb at their own pace. And that goes for even, let's say, a subset of riders who are well trained and well prepared. We all have different physiological characteristics. None of us climb the same. Some of us are more fast twitch oriented. They can get in and out of the saddle. They're going to alternate power and sitting down. If everybody tried to do that, if I tried to do that, I would blow up spectacularly. I am more of a seated climber. I use high cadence to my advantage. So we're all going to climb at a different pace. So we're all sort of spread out over the mountain. I'm sort of at the back to start. I'll move forward. I'll make some U-turns. I'm checking in on everybody. And then once we really have a sense of the whole group, and this is both a challenge and something I consider to be a huge, I really enjoy this part of it, is sort of identifying when we get to the longer climbs, we're going to go about it and not everybody's going to leave for the summit at exactly the same time. And that tends to put a climber who sort of knows they're going to be a little bit slower than everybody else at ease. I'm not going to be the person holding everybody up at the summit. It doesn't mean we're all going to get there at exactly the same time. But if you use the Col de Tourmalet as an example, it's a 19K climb. It takes a while. And so instead of sending everybody up at the same time and being fully spread out all the way over the mountain, we'll send a group who is going to go at a little bit slower pace. We'll send them off with like a 3 or 4K head start. That way we're getting to the summit in and about the same time. It helps with the vibe. Everybody's cheering everybody. Nobody's getting impatient at the summit. And that sort of timing with the time trial effect tends to make a big difference in the experience for everybody. And I've witnessed this firsthand. It tends to work pretty well. We had a couple groups this summer that were obviously very diverse, both in terms of amount of training they put in, as well as their sort of core ability. Everybody got to the top of the Tourmalet. Every single one of them. It can be.
Wow.
Yeah.
Must feel so good as a coach.
It's,
So who can sign up for those camps? And do you need to apply and talk about your experience? Do they need to be your athlete because you also coach on a regular basis, not just the training camps?
No, certainly not. You don't need to be someone who I've worked with previously in any way, shape, or form to sign up and become a part of any of our trips and any of our experiences. We want to bring as many people as we can from all over the world to the mountains. So for instance, this summer, we had riders from France, England, Spain, Netherlands, United States, Australia, all over the globe come to be a part of this experience. So we want to bring as many people to the mountains and have this experience as possible, because if you put at least a baseline of work in, you can climb and you can enjoy these experiences. Once they're signed up, then they have the option to take advantage of my coaching, really at any level. It can be from a consultative approach. I just want to do some Q&A with you, make sure I'm on the right track. It can be, I would really like a fully baked program, and I have a 24-week, learn to, really prepare you for the mountains type of program that you can plug into Training Peaks and into Zwift or into Ruvi or whatever platform you're using, to also sort of upgrading and having the full, Josh, I want you to work with me, customize the program, meet every week, that sort of thing. So there are varying levels that are going to make sense for the individual and how they want to approach the experience, because everybody's different. Everybody has different amount of time they can commit to training and how they're going to go about this. And really, if someone came and said, hey, I really want to sign up, but I'm a pure beginner, I would probably defer them to a future year. The answer is not no, it's just not yet, because we want it
Okay.
to be a good experience. But as long as you are
Yeah.
into that, even the early days of intermediacy with being a road cyclist, and you have seat time under your belt and you have kilometers under your belt, then you are someone with the amount of time we have to prepare. You are someone who can succeed at this, just not a pure beginner.
It makes sense. And I think that's a great approach, because this way everybody has a great experience, and maybe the ones that you can filter that might be better the next year to join will
Correct.
have a good time, because it wouldn't make any sense to go and then not have a good experience.
Exactly.
Doesn't
We don't
feel,
want to set
not
anybody
feel
up
ready
for
there.
failure. We don't. It's never a no. It's just a not yet.
And I think, per what I remember, you also have different type of camps. Like, you created one for over 50. I think there was one just for women, which I think is really cool, because you can join a mixed group, but you can also try to find something that fits more of what are you looking for?
Right. So this past year, we had an amazing experience with our women's group. And my co-leader in the women's group, Leonie Lawman, who runs her own personal training business based in the United Kingdom. She's actually been a cycling athlete of mine for a very long time. And we co-lead trips together. The group of women that we had was just the most phenomenal group of human beings. So we have already announced our first offering for next year, which is 27 June to July 4 is going to be our Women's Coles Week. We have an exciting location. You mentioned the importance of the comprehensiveness of the holiday experience. And we are going to be based out of a very small, beautiful city in the foothills of the French Pyrenees. It's a city called Pau.
Wow.
And we have an amazing accommodation that we've partnered with. So it's really going to be not just the cycling, but it's mountain days, city nights. And so you walk right out of our accommodation. You've got restaurants, pubs, museums, tours. One of our days in the region, because it's in a little bit more of the Pyrenees Atlantique. It's a big winery. It's wine country. So we're going to commit a day. When you can't climb every day, you have to have a couple days that are more flat. We're going to ride our bikes through wine country, come back,
Magical.
and change, and then we're going to take everybody on a wine tasting. So it's a double winery type day, tour de vin, as it were. And then we're also going to do a day where we're close enough where we can get in our transportation, set ourselves up for a reasonably length, mostly flat ride, and go right to the Atlantic Ocean. We're going to go to Biarritz, and we're going to spend the day at the beach. So we'll have 4 climbing days, 2 days that are unique on the flats, all of these other activities built in that are available for folks. So we've got that first week that's about to go live on the web for registration and for deposits for 27 June to July 4th, given the number of people who are in on the pre-sale. Have a feeling that's going to sell out very quickly. So we've identified a second week. Stay tuned. So we'll likely be offering 2 exclusively women's weeks for next summer 2026. And then we've got our eye. We'll have to wait for the Tour de France dates to be released and when they're going to be in the Pyrenees. But based on the rumors that we're hearing, we'll also be running a Tour de France week, just like we did this past year, where we ride for the week and we watch at least one day where we go and ride the cols that the tour riders are going to ride. And then we stay on the mountain and watch them come through. And it is an experience not to be missed. So we'll be having probably at least 3 weeks based out of Pau in the Pyrenees this summer. And stay tuned. There might be more. Who knows? We'll see.
Wow. How cool. It's really dream vacations.
Yes. And
like
you nailed
Pyrenees, wine country, Tour de France.
It's the whole experience. It is a vacation experience where you're riding, you're getting this sense of accomplishment, and you have those late afternoon, evening hours to really have the celebratory and the vacation type experience. So it's going to be an amazing summer 2026.
Awesome. Well, anyone listening interested, make sure to check the description of the episode. All the information about the camp will be there for you to sign up. So, climbing can be very challenging, both mentally and physically. Sometimes the mental can be even harder because you can be strong and just break it for whatever reasons. What's your go-to coaching strategy when you see a rider hitting that mental wall?
It is such an important piece, and it's a piece that, no coach is perfect, obviously, but I take great pride in this particular part of how I support riders in any scenario, but especially as we talk about the intensity of climbing and that sort of mindset, mental side of it. You'll see, and I'll send it to you so you can share it with your listeners. We had a testimonial from one of our riders who was on Women's Week, who was just so wonderfully honest about how she felt when she first got there. She literally said, I was so up in my own head about, can I do this? We give our riders permission to feel that way. If you're nervous about this, if you're unsure, be okay with those feelings, because if you fight them and deny them, you're only going to make them worse. So embrace it and then take a deep breath. And then we work together to accomplish the climb. And so this particular rider felt that emotion and felt that anxiety very early in the week on our first couple climbs. I'm so proud of this athlete because she smashed the Tourmalet. And she smashed it. So as a coach, you can really, you sort of see the physiological and the mental signs of a rider who may be struggling a little bit. In the first 2 kilometers of watching her on the Tourmalet, there was no doubt in my mind she was going to absolutely smash the Tourmalet. You could see it in her body language. You could see it in her cadence. You could see it in her very circular pedal stroke. I'm like, she's got it. And she did. Other riders need, in the moment, a little bit more of that sort of in the moment feedback. And it's funny, sometimes the mental piece of it will show physically. And so if we identify the things that are sort of tight physically, it can create a relaxation effect. So for instance, one of the things I'm always looking for with a rider, are they too hunched up? Are they too tight in their neck? And, I'll use the tongue-in-cheek line, okay, your shoulders aren't your earrings. Let's drop them a little bit. Relax the shoulders, okay? You want to obviously have a nice, safe grip on your hoods when you're climbing, but you don't want to be choking them to death. I'm like, let's go a little easier on those hoods. And by relaxing the arms and relaxing the shoulders, it sort of puts them back into being able to have a rhythm, because climbing is all about finding your own rhythm. So those sort of things help. The other thing that I like athletes to tune into anytime, especially when you're climbing, is your breathing. There is all sorts of evidence coming out now that breathing rate is a very good indicator of relative effort level. So it's not a magic pill. Doesn't mean slowing down your breathing is suddenly going to make you climb like, Demi Vollering or Tadej Pogacar, but it has a relaxation effect, and it just sort of tunes you into finding your rhythm. Slow yourself down mentally and anxiety-wise a little bit, and that can make a difference. And then the last piece that I love helping riders tune into, and it's interesting. It's like you hear this, and this was my first reaction to it. I actually read this in a very old book about climbing. It was sort of in the, before the wearables era and before heart rate and watts and all those things. It was a former pro rider talking about, you almost want to feel like there's like an invisible string pulling you up the mountain. And I was like, okay, is it really going to work? And then I tried it myself and I'm like, oh my goodness, here's what it does. It's not a trick. It improves your pedaling efficiency because you're imagined being pulled up. And I have found that sharing that and broadening it a little bit. So imagine there's this imaginary string. and imagine it divides off in two, and the string is attached to the very tips of your cycling shoes. Imagine that every time you come forward, it's pulling you a little bit forward. And what it does is, if you've been in cycling long enough, pedaling circles versus pedaling square. And if you're pedaling squares, it really means you have a very inefficient pedal stroke. You're getting tired. You're sort of very choppy. You're pushing up, pulling down, and not being very fluid. I have found, and it's amazing, and I tell riders, I'm like, just hear me out on this. Imagine the imaginary string. Imagine it pulling the top of your shoes forward. And I'm like, just give it a chance. And they go, oh my goodness, that works. And what it's doing, it is creating a different effect in your pedal stroke, because simply because pedal circles don't pedal squares, if it's a really experienced cyclist who's had cadence training and, sort of pedal technique training, they're going to clue in, and that's a good cue. They're going to know that. But if somebody's new to it, this sort of, it's tongue in cheek, I don't mean this to be a physics thing, string theory, so to speak, I found it to be a game changer with riders when they're climbing, because you're now going as fast as you were, or maybe even a little bit faster, but you're putting out much less physical effort because your pedal stroke is that much more efficient. And then obviously the last piece is, parts to whole, break it down. All these climbs have kilometer signs. We're going to celebrate every kilometer we tick off. Keep going. Trust your fitness. And this is, I'm preaching to the choir with this. If you've put a base in zone 2, trust it. You're clearing lactate. Yep. It's going to be difficult. Yep. It's going to hurt a little bit, but you will get there because your body's clearing the lactate. And then when you do that, it's magical, guiding a rider for the entire time they're going up, let's say, the Tourmalet, and just watching them shed tears of joy when they cross the finish line and they go, oh my goodness, I didn't think I could do this. Thank you. Thank you for your help. It's what gets me up in the morning, and it's why I love these 15, 16-hour days doing this in the mountains with people.
As you're saying all this, I'm here nodding. And I think a lot of us these days, because of time, we train at home, outside or at home. Like it's just more of like you fill in Training Peaks or an Excel and you are doing your work, which is super important.
Yeah.
But there is a huge advantage of doing this type of camps and having your coach or a coach like you with so much experience that you can not only the physical, but you can also see the mental as well and have those type of conversations like you had with this writer that crushed the Tourmalet. But a lot of times, and I speak this from experience, you don't know what you're doing. I mean, you don't know what you're doing wrong. You are doing your best, but you don't know what you're doing wrong. And sometimes it just takes someone like you and going to a camp like this, and you just say a tiny adjustment, like relax your shoulders, take them off your ears, and it makes all the difference. And I love the stream pulling you up the climb. I haven't tried, but visualization is also something that it's been studied a lot and it works. Even for you to do the whole visualization before race day, imagine everything going right, imagine things that would go wrong. So when it happens, you're more prepared, you're not freaking out. So it makes total sense. And those are amazing tips. And the breathing, obviously, every little bit helps to get you up the hill. And I think just really want to highlight the importance of going on a training camp if anyone can, because it does make a huge difference to have someone there that will pick up on those tiny little adjustments that make big differences.
Absolutely. It's sort of the comprehensive nature of what we offer. It's not about, hey, these are the routes we're doing. Hey, we'll cut you loose. You get to learn on the way. You get to make these micro adjustments that are not only going to allow you a better experience and more success while you're here for the week, you get to then make them habit at home. And, if you happen to live somewhere in a hilly area, then you can now be very proud of the skills that you've learned to go along with the confidence you've developed summiting these goals.
Yeah. And speaking of this, all those things, you wear so many hats on these trips. You are coach, you are cheerleader, you are the ride leader, logistics, wrangler, What's the part of running a camp like this that most people don't realize what they see it in until they see it in action?
Right, right. That's a really good question. I think the thing that flies probably under the radar is the route planning and the route recon. So, for instance, I've already had the experience of spending time on the new coals that we're going to be taking folks up next year. We're still going to be doing the Tourmalet, so I've obviously had plenty of experience summiting the Tourmalet, but me being knowledgeable about the nature of the climb is really important. And it goes way beyond just looking at a profile. I've done the Col d'Aubisque twice. I've done the Col de Portelet. And one of the things I learned about the Col de Portelet is when we do this climb, we're riding to Spain. You cross the French-Spanish border at the summit. I couldn't learn that from the profile. So it's a neat kind of experience for a rider to have to do a longer climb. This one does not have a ton of steepness to it. It's just the views are otherworldly from up there. And all of a sudden you're like, oh my goodness, across the border, I'm in Spain. So it's learning the routes. It's understanding really where the challenging grade sections are. And you can only learn so much from looking at a route profile online. I really want to be, because knowledge is power. I really want to be able to tell our group, and we do sort of a very low-key, lighthearted ride brief the night before the next day's ride. Here's here's the length of the climb. Here's the time we're starting. Here's the length before we get to the climb, all those other the details that go into it. But I also want to be able to share, okay, so for the Col d'Aubisque, it starts off relatively tame. Make sure that you're not getting carried away and burning too many matchsticks early. And then it's going to go through a small mountain town. It's going to kick up there for a while. It's still early days. Manage your effort going through the town. It'll level off again. The steepest stretches, as is often the case on a lot of climbs, are late. But I also share with them the other side of it, because it's easy to build something up in your head to make it bigger than it is. And we talk about factually, all right, look, the steepest 100 meters is, let's say, 10%. And I can tell them, reflect back, yesterday's climb had a steeper section on it. So yes, this climb might be a little bit longer. Yes, this climb, the average grade may be a little bit higher, but this is not going to challenge you the way yesterday's climb did. It's just a little longer. Feel yourself a little bit better. So I really relish all of that knowledge is power, ability to plan in advance the climb.
Yeah, and I think this prepares the riders to really adapt and adjust in real time when they are climbing. That's really, really good. Now, I know this is to climb, but people have to descend. Mm-hmm. Is there any nervousness as well? Because I know a lot of riders do freak out on the descent, because I think going up, of course, there's technique, but it's also power, mental. But on the downhill, you don't need the watts, but you really need to be more technical.
Yes. So
abilities, you need to have more ability to descend. Yeah.
We talk about, and then there are some specifics too, especially for riders who are a little new to descending. The broad ones, we always talk about safely, confidently, and efficiently. Notice there's no word in there about speed, because as soon as you bring speed into the equation, it adds an extra layer of stress to really all riders. If you're a good descender, oh my goodness, I have to go fast down this climb. No, you don't.
Yeah.
And if you're a less confident descender, it's like it's okay to go a little bit slower. Obviously, you can't just grip the brakes the entire time. There's all sorts of trapdoors to that. I won't get into that now. But then it becomes, for a less confident descender, giving them some basics without trying to teach them too much. That's going to help them as fluidly as possible get down the mountain. And it starts with feathering your brakes. You are in control.
Yes.
Don't feel like you're out of control. Feather on, feather off, feather on, feather off. That's one. Two, helping them to understand, reduce your speed before you get to the switchback, before you get to the turn. It's then going to allow you to sort of, I don't know if coast is the right word, but ease your way through the turn without putting yourself in a position of losing control of the bike. Things like look through the turn, where instead of looking at the tip of your wheel, you're angling and looking where you're going. And people go, oh my God, that really works. And you don't want to overdo it. You can't tell them, yank your head to the left, you'll go to the left. No, that's going to be too scary for somebody. Look towards the turn, those sorts of things. Then there are all sorts of things about how you properly lean and those things. And I assess that on the go. If that's too much information for somebody, we're not even going to go there because that's going to make their life worse. It's about giving
Makes
them
sense.
just enough information that's going to provide them confidence. The other big thing is if someone is comfortable in the drops, it is a little bit safer to descend in the drops. If you're used to being in the drops and then talking to them about, okay, if you've done it, you really are going to stay on the hoods. You have to make sure a bump doesn't throw your hands up over the hoods. That's when bad things happen. So it's about the safety, having an instructive set of safety items to go along with a little bit of, okay, these are things in my toolbox I'm comfortable doing, and they will give me.
Those are great tips. Yeah. And especially on the feathering on and off on the brakes, because a lot of people just hold on for their lives on the brakes and then their hands freeze and you can't move.
Yeah, all sorts of
it locks up.
And then the other thing that we do, again, we climb at our own pace. We reconvene at the summit. We descend at our own pace. And we also send the quicker descenders down first. We do it in reverse because we don't want people to have to overtake each other on the descent, not putting people in a position to have to do that. And then I descend last. That way, if a rider, oh my goodness, and I had a rider do this, they needed to take a deep breath on the side of the road where it was safe to pull. There's nothing wrong with that. We don't need to be in a hurry. We're on vacation. Let's get down safely, and then we'll carry on with our ride.
Yeah. Amazing. And once the week wraps up, what do you hope your riders carry with them, not just in their legs, but also their mindset and confidence once the camp is over?
It's been wonderful to keep in touch with the groups that we had this year. And just first, it's the memories that they made, and it's the connections of so many new friendships that have been developed among riders and myself and the riders. It's such a shared experience. And so I really want them to leave with sort of the celebratory memories, the connections that they've made with the people, the entire group of us. We sort of imagine ourselves as a little family during the week and supporting each other. And then, take that confidence home where, yeah, you can do this, and maybe come back and join us again, especially if we're going to be in a different place, and do it all over again on some new climbs. And so that's a really special part of this, is that, we're all so busy in life these days between family and work. These experiences that you get to share with other people are priceless. They really are. And none of us have enough time to do massive amounts of these. But from a well-being standpoint, experiencing things like this with other people can really have just such a positive kick-on effect for their mental well-being.
Yeah, it's not just cycling. Absolutely. It's such an incredible experience. And I think anyone listening and starting to picturing yourself there, maybe it's time to make it happen.
You won't regret it, I promise.
And what's next? So you wrapped up this summer camps, and then next year you are in a different location. And you're also saying there's so many people are already interested in coming back. You might be sold out, and you might open more weeks of camping training. Can you tell me a little bit more? Is there anything I missed from what's next, and who can join your camp?
No, it's a great question. And really the change in location is all about the holiday nature of it. Like individually, just as a individual rider, I have no issue with riding for 8, 9 hours, riding my brains out, showering up, having dinner, and let's do it all over again. But it's the well-rounded, as you so eloquently put, the comprehensive holiday experience has led us, Leonie and I, to Po, France, where we can offer that full, well-rounded experience. So 27 June to 4 July, we're literally about to start taking deposits, probably the end of this week. So it's second week of August right now. So by the end of this second week, at the latest, beginning of next week, we'll be taking deposits for that week. And that's limited to 10 riders. And we're basing the interest level that we've had on folks who are like, include me in on the pre-sale. We have every confidence that that's going to sell out. We already have the infrastructure built for a second Women's Week. So I'm very confident that we will get to the place where we will have 2 Women's Weeks going in summer of 2026. The Tour de France rumors are out, but nothing firm in terms of the route. But there's a good chance it's coming to the Pyrenees pretty early. So that would be a third offering, because who doesn't want to go climb the mountains the same week the Tour de France riders are coming through and have the opportunity to watch them? We just can't fully announce that till the ride schedule is out. And then we're going to see where it goes from there. There might be the potential for a 4th week in the Pyrenees. And then stay tuned for 2027, because we're taking this thing broader in the EU. There'll be some other locations that we're going to be targeting to take riders to outside of the Pyrenees.
Exciting. And I'm glad you mentioned something that I didn't think about asking, which is the number of people per camp, but you said 10. So usually every week it's 10 riders.
Every week it's 10. We want this to be an experience where we can really provide that hands-on service. And if we, in the best intentions, allowed the groups to get too big, we're not doing that anymore. We really want this to be that type of experience where not only we're giving the hands-on attention and the hands-on guiding, but we're getting to know the riders. Riders are getting to know other riders. It's that real family experience. Having an entire group dinner of 12 of us in the evening is very doable. You really feel like you're a part of the group. And it's so important. That's that collective experiencing something with others, that if you allow the group to get too big, then you lose some of that. And we will never be in a position where we want to lose any of it.
Yeah, it sounds great. Sounds like the right amount of time and people. Of course, with you, I think you're a great coach. I love having you on the podcast. You are so eloquently with your words. It's really easy to understand everything that you're explaining and actually put in practice. So I cannot even imagine what's the experience of spending a week with you, how much one can improve.
That means
I really hope I can be part of the camp next year, because it sounds truly, truly amazing. So big thanks.
As do I. It would be amazing to do this together. I would really enjoy that.
Yeah. Big thanks for sharing the stories and the lessons from the Pyrenees camps. And I hope to have you back again soon.
I will always jump at the opportunity to sit and chat with you. It's a wonderful experience, and I will look forward to more opportunities in the future as well.
Better. Thank you so much.
You are welcome.
And that's all for today's episode. I want to thank the listeners for tuning in. Your support means everything. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider following, leaving a review, and sharing it with your friends.